Hello, Bill. This is
Hello, Bill.
Rupom here.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm perfectly okay. So for some reasons that you already know, I cannot turn on my camera. I hope this is okay with you.
Yeah, of course, that's fine. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah,
Rashid,
this is
how you doing?
Rashed, and on behalf of the entire Bangladesh Excel Meetup group, he will be hosting today.
Yeah, this is great. I love it.
Uh,
Let me see. Let me see your shirt. It says your Excel shirt.
oh, my
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yours. Yes.
Oh,
Stand up a little bit. It says trust me. Ah, that's good.
this is
I love it.
the simple photo.
Yeah,
You like
that's
it?
great. I love it.
But
I need one of those.
I have so many limited one. If you want, I will share it with you.
Yeah, show me where to get them.
Okay.
I love it. Very good.
Yeah, great. I think, Rashid, we can check the technical aspects of the session so that there is no technical interruption during the
Okay.
session. So may I request Bill kindly share his screen so that we get the confirmation.
Yep, let me do that. And let me get Excel open here. Okay.
Okay, Bill, are you able to share your screen?
Yep, I'm trying to get there. Let's see. There we are. Share.
Just
There we are. This
top
should,
right corner over there. Just top
yeah.
right corner, you will find.
How's that?
Oh, okay, you're good.
Great. All right. Ready to
Great.
roll.
Great. We can see everything clearly sorted. Yeah, that looks really good. So
Okay.
I
Good.
think it's over to Rashid now. It's already 9 o'clock in Bangladesh. So I guess it's a good time to start if Bill is completely ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Rupam Bhaiya, for giving me the space. And this is a great feeling to start with Bill. Very good morning, Bill. It's a very pleasure to me to introduce you as a special guest, a true legend, the world of Microsoft Excel. Bill, I would like to introduce you for the participants as well. So, if we want to introduce Bill, there is no need so many adjectives. I want to introduce as a Bill, Mr. Excel. He's the founder of Mr. Excel, the largest online Excel communities. He has authored and co-authored over 60 books of Excel, Power BI, and data analysis. With decades of experiences, he has been recognized as Microsoft MVP, an honor award to experts who share their deep knowledge with the community. Through these books and YouTube channels and seminars, consulting, Bill Jelen has helped million peoples, professionals worldwide, unlock the power of Excel and transform the way they work with the data. So before starting, I want to ask one question and leave it to you, Bill. Uh, Before we start, what does it takes? What does it takes to be a MVP? For any suggestion from your end for our young fresher peoples and professionals?
Right. Okay. So the things that they're looking for to be an MVP, Microsoft is looking for people who are willing to create content. And that could be videos on YouTube or videos on TikTok. It could be blog posts. It could be articles on LinkedIn. And so they're looking for people who are out there engaging with their community, writing
Okay.
lots and lots of content.
Okay.
And once you have a fair amount of content that you're creating, and they're not looking for, they're not looking for things that you're selling. They're just looking for you, like you love Excel so much that you're posting all of this content, and then someone nominates you, and they take a look and see how much content you're creating, and then every year there's a little bit of pressure to make sure that I keep creating more videos and doing these seminars and doing, writing books, whatever, just to keep my community content
Oh,
alive.
okay. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah,
Before you start, I would like to introduce our Bangladesh Excel Meetup group to you. Would you allow me for a few minutes for this
please.
session?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. May I share my screen right now?
Mm-hmm. I'll stop sharing.
Okay, okay, Bill. Uh, Here you are as a guest today. I would not describe it again. Uh, Before this, today's topic based on the pivot table and in deep. So our as you know, Bill Jelen with us. The purpose of Bangladesh Excel Meetup Group, we are a voluntary community. We are trying to engage with people with Excel, and we are doing so many activities, live classes, complimentary workshops, and seminars as well based on Microsoft Excel so far. So, as you know, young professionals are who are emerging are not aware of learning Excel, and we are engaging them to learn Excel and the benefits of Excel in workplaces. Besides this, we have prominent eight trainers, including Mr. Rupom Bhaiya. We call it Bhaiya as a brother. In Bengali, in Bangla language, Bhaiya as a brother. And it means a lot to us. And including him, we have eight more trainers in prominent, very prominent in Bangladesh. So for our participants, you can connect with us Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, scanning through the QR code, and you can rate us your experience, your feedback as well, and you can download your after the finishing your session, you can download your certificates and your materials as well. So over to you, Bill. I have taken so many times from you. Over to you.
Okay, this is great.
Yeah, but
Thanks.
before Bill start, please allow me to interrupt. So, as Bill was talking about being an MVP, let me tell my experience with Mr. Excel. So, I started my learning with Mr. Excel. So, it grew the passion to learn Excel for me while I saw the contents of Bill in the internet, in the YouTube, and also another person contribute to my learning also, and he is Chandu
Chandu, yes.
Purna. Yeah, so these two persons are predominantly still excites me, and also yeah contribute a lot to my learning uh, in Excel. And let me tell about Bangladesh Excel Meetup Group also. All nine persons in the group as a key resource person are MCTs. So they are really contributing to the cause that we want to develop young professionals, students with the data skills, not only Excel. We also try to teach artificial intelligence, how to integrate this with Excel and also Power BI. So uh, it's a group of passionate people, if I term this for Bangladesh Excel Meetup Group. So it's a real privilege. It's a real privilege to have you with us and share the same passion with us. Really
Great.
grateful, Bill.
Very good. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here. Okay.
Oh, yes. What do
Thank
you, Bill?
Here we go. Can you, let's see, I think you can see my screen, right? Yes?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
You're visible
Great.
right now.
All right, on the left-hand side, there is a book that I've written for Microsoft Press called Microsoft Excel Pivot Table Data Crunching. There's a lot in that book. We will cover as much as we can. The most exciting thing, the thing that I'm very, very happy about, is that on the Excel team, we recently had one of the people retire who's been with Excel for 30 years. And that was sad to see him go. But the new person who took over for him is very hit the scene very quickly and has some great new features for pivot tables in particular. And so one of the things that has always been a problem in pivot tables is that no matter what we do, no matter what changes we make to the defaults, the formatting that's in the cells in the grid never comes through. The pivot table is always formatted as general.
Yeah.
And it was about 5 months ago that I created a pivot table. So you'll notice here that I have US currency in these 3 columns and 1,000 separator in these columns. And I
Yes.
created a pivot table. I'm going to put that pivot table here in column K. It was just a simple little pivot table with maybe a region. And I was very surprised when I put in revenue to see that the revenue automatically had the dollar signs. I mean, this is something
Oh,
that,
great.
yeah, right. For 30 years, it always comes in general, and then you have to go reformat the pivot table. And now I just have it automatically. I actually thought that somehow these cells had accidentally become formatted as currency. And so then I put the pivot table on a new sheet, a brand new sheet, and it still continued to be formatted. I wrote to the Excel team. I'm like, what is this? And this new young woman who's been on the Excel team said, oh yeah, that's our new feature. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is great. And then just 2 months ago, now watch this. The other problem that we always have is the pivot table. If you make any changes to the underlying data, the pivot table has to be refreshed, right? So you can see here that, let's see, well, we can't see the, so right here, central region, I'll make this a little bit smaller. Central region, that top record, central region, currently it's 2,291,000. I'm going to add $10 million. 10. And as soon as I press enter there, you see that the pivot table automatically refreshed. It's called auto refresh.
Great.
And it's
Auto refresh.
Yeah, it's back
Are
here.
you going to reveal this this technique right now?
Well, it's just slowly rolling out.
Okay.
And right now it's in the beta, right? So it has to roll from the beta to the monthly channel and then the semi-annual channel. So, you know, the code is done. They just need to make sure that it's going to work. And you can even have if you can imagine, right now I have 3 regions. So I'm going to create a brand new region. I'm going to come here and say that that region is not central, but south. And you see that the pivot table automatically updated to get the extra row. This is great. This is amazing. And my friend Rob had been on the Excel team 20 years ago. And he said when he was brand new, he went and he said, we should have auto refresh. And the people on the Excel team back then said, it'll never happen. You can't ever do that. Just forget it. And now here we are. Like when Rob saw that, he said he saw the notice about it. He's like, wait a second, I tried to do this 20 years ago. Right, so that's very exciting news. I don't know how long it'll take to roll out to the semi-annual channel and get to everybody, but just the fact that they're working on it, I think that's an
We're waiting for you.
All right, so that's number format in a pivot table and auto refresh, just some real good things. Okay, I'm going to start off here with, before we create our first pivot table, even though I've already created a pivot table, if you're brand new to pivot tables, some simple rules that we have to follow all the time. It's very important that there are no blank rows and no blank columns in your data, right? So you see that right now, I just have a nice data set. If I press Control and the asterisk key, I'm selecting all of the data. It's making it all the way to the right-hand side. Over the years, I've worked with managers. I've had managers who do very annoying things. Like I had a manager once who would add the tiny little columns between the columns like this.
Oh.
And that's just a disaster, right?
Very
you don't want to
insane.
have tiny little columns. Okay. And the reason that my manager was doing it is he didn't like the way that Excel would underline. You see that they only underline the characters that are there. They don't underline the whole cell. And so he wouldn't do that. He would use the bottom underscore like this. Oh, wait, let me turn off the underline. The bottom underscore. He would turn on the underscores, but he wanted a tiny little break between each of a tiny little gap between each of the underscores. And so that's why we'd add those extra columns in. And I'm like, this is so dangerous because someone's going to sort part of this data and not all of this data. So I'm gonna undo all of that, go back to the original.
Yes, you should.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, but if you ever find yourself working for that manager who wants that look, there is a hidden setting in Excel that will underline that correctly, the way that my manager wanted it. And it's not here. It's not in the ribbon. It's not either of these. You have to come to this little dialog launcher here. And there is extra settings, one called a single accounting underline. And the single accounting underline will underline almost all the way across, but leave the tiny little gap on each end, right? So if you have a manager who's adding the blank columns in to get this look, just know that there is an extra option there called single accounting underlines. Okay, let's see. I need to fix this revenue here. Let me do that real quick. Oops, plus sign. All right, let's create our very first pivot table. I'm going to allow the pivot table to go to a new worksheet. So let's say we want to see total revenue. So revenue in column G by region and product. Total revenue by region and product. And it should take 6 clicks to create that pivot table. The first click is insert.
Okay.
Notice I don't select all the data. I just select one cell in the data. Insert. Pivot table is the second click, and they detect where the edge of the data is. So it's A1 to I564. They offer to go to a new worksheet, and I'm going to let it go there today. We click OK. And what's happened is they've inserted a new sheet in the book. It's to the left of the original data, so the original data is still there. Let's get this new sheet, and over on the right-hand side is a list of our fields, and then drop zones down here. The columns, rows, and values are what we're going to use right now. So when I check mark region, it goes to what they call the rows area. That's the rows down the left-hand side. I'm going to check mark revenue, and you see that I now have total revenue for each region. And then my 6th click is not just a click, it's a drag. I'm going to take the product field and drag it from the field well to the columns area like that. So in 6 clicks, insert, pivot table, OK, check mark region, check mark revenue, and then drag product to the right spot. Very quickly, you'll have your report. Now, we print this out. I take it, I give it to my manager, and my manager does one of these. He goes, no, that's not what I wanted. I wanted products going down the left-hand side, and I want regions going across the top. Right? And this is why pivot tables are so easy, right? If you need to change the report, I'm just going to take the columns, the product from the columns field, and drag it and drop it in rows like that. And then I'll take the region from the rows area and drag it and drop it in columns, right? And it's very easy to change the report. If the manager says, no, I don't want product, I want sector, I want industry instead, just uncheck product and choose sector, and now I have a completely different report. And so pivot tables, when they came to Excel, all of a sudden made it very, very easy to summarize data like this data, right? So that's our very first pivot table. And, I remember working in Excel before we had pivot tables, and it was actually over at Lotus. Lotus 123 invented the concept of a pivot table, but they were they had such great market share back then. They were the #1 spreadsheet, Lotus 123, that they sold it as a separate product. It was called Lotus Improv. You had to pay an extra $100 on top of Lotus 123 in order to get pivot tables. And of course, Microsoft, who was fighting for market share, said, oh no, we shouldn't have to do that. We're just going to include pivot tables for free. with Excel, right? So that's very cool. Okay, now I'm going to take this report and I'm going to change it a little bit here. And if you are a person that creates pivot tables all the time, you might be wondering why each of my row fields are in a separate column, sector in column A and region in column B. This changed in Excel 2007. There was someone on the Excel team who thought that there would be a better way to show pivot tables. And unfortunately, when they created that, they made it be the default. So every pivot table that we got starting in Excel 2007 is shown as something called compact form. And I'm not a fan of compact form. I don't like this. I don't like the fact that they're mixing two different fields in the same column. So we have both sector and region. And here, let's add another one. We'll add customer in. Now we have three different things in the same field. So region, sector, and customer. And as a human, we can look at this and see, oh, well, it's indented more and it's not bold. It must be a customer. But I'm going to be doing something with this data later. And there is no function that says, what's the indent level? Like, we don't have anything to check and see how far it's indented to break this data apart later. So every time that I would create a pivot table, every single time, I would always do these extra clicks to come here to the design, go to report layout and say show in tabular form. And then I'd go to report layout and say, like, initially it would start out like this with the outline form. And I have to come here to report layout and say, repeat all item labels to get those columns filled in. So that way later I had every field filled in the sheets. When this happened in Excel 2007, my next time that I was at Redmond meeting with the Excel team, I said, people are not going to like this. They're like, well, we showed it to Bill Gates and Bill Gates likes it. I'm like, well, that's great that Bill Gates likes it, but the people who are going to take this data and do other things with it are not going to like this. You need to give us a way to turn this off. And that guy, that year, he was not happy. He said that I was ungrateful for the feature. And I'm like, well, I'm just telling you, we're not going to like it. And I actually spent the next 5 years, every year for the next 5 years saying, hey, we really need a way to turn this off. Or just let me say that all future pivot tables should start in some other form, like tabular form or outline form. I should get to choose. And finally, after the 5th year, they gave us this amazing thing back here called File, and then Options. And then on the left-hand side, we're going to choose Data, right? If you have the data category, then you have this button. They created the data category just for this button. They moved other things here, but it's a button that says make changes to the default layout of pivot tables. And I always come here on every computer and say, I want to show it in tabular form. I want to repeat all the item labels. And I even go into pivot table options and say, all right, for empty cells, I don't want blanks. I want to show zeros there. And if you have other settings that you like, you can go change those. I know some people turn off auto-fit column widths, if that's something you like. I even find people who turn on the old classic pivot table layout. If you remember Excel 2003, where you used to drag the fields right into the pivot table, you can turn that back on. So with those pivot table defaults, you'll get your favorite pivot table every single time, right? So I'm a big fan of that. I feel like I had a part in getting that into Excel. All right, so let me take customers out. And now we just have this little report here with region and sector. I'll move region back to be across like that. One of the interesting things that we have, and this is a change that has happened recently, even though the feature was there the whole time. So let's say that we're interested in this 21,820. So healthcare in the West region, and your manager says, well, who is that? I can't imagine who's buying $21,000 worth of business. Up here in the Pivot Table Analyze tab, we have Show Details. This is a new icon that was introduced last year. In the past, we would always double click to do this, but now we can click Show Details. You can still double click, and it inserts a brand new sheet. And what I like is in Show Details, they now say that it's revenue for healthcare and West, because then if I go back and I choose someone else, let's choose something larger here. So manufacturing in the East, right? I get the title that says this is revenue for manufacturing in the East. And it gives you all of the records that make up that one cell. So you can always drill down in your pivot tables and see the results behind that. All right, so that's drill down in a pivot table. This next one is very interesting to me. I'm not sure how Microsoft is doing this. They started this almost 10 years ago, back in Excel 2013. And it's called Format One Cell in a Pivot Table. So let's say that for whatever reason, your manager is very interested in the central region manufacturing. It looks like it's our largest region. And he always wants that cell highlighted. So once I have the pivot table, I'm going to right click and go to Format Cells, and we'll choose a color. So I'll choose a fill color here.
Study.
And a font color. Click OK. So now you see that we have manufacturing and central highlighted. Okay, but what's interesting is that cell continues to be highlighted even if the pivot table gets rearranged. So I'm going to take region and drag it down here. And you see that the manufacturing central continues to be highlighted. Even if I add something new in, now we have to scroll down, but you see that we have all of those customers are manufacturing central customers. Somehow we've set up a rule that says that anywhere in this pivot table where we have manufacturing and central, that formatting will be used. I think that's a very cool feature that not many people
cool one
are aware of. All right, so and it's just right click, format cells, choose the format you want, and then it'll follow that cell around. So now Energy East, if I take region here, right, Energy East, it rearranges and the color follows along. Okay, next up, the top 10 report. Top 10. So I'm going to create a report with just customers along the left-hand side. And it looks like we have about 25, 27 customers or something like that. And I'm going to do something kind of that is unexpected. I'm going to take the revenue field and I'm going to add it 3 or 4 times. I'm not sure. And you see that all the numbers are the same. Revenue, revenue 2, revenue 3. The reason I do this is we can change that calculation. So if I come here to sum of revenue 2 and I double click the heading, this is the same as coming and pressing field settings, but I'm going to double click the heading. And they give me calculations like sum, count, average, max, min, but those aren't the good ones. The good ones are back here in the second tab called show values as. I'm going to do something called percentage of column total. I'll change the heading here to be percentage of total. Customer, I can see what their percentage of the total is. Or this one, I'll come here and there's a newer setting at the bottom, newer, it came along 10 or 15 years ago. Rank, largest to smallest. So for each customer, show me what their rank is. And I'll call that rank. All right, and then we have, let's see, down here, Walmart is our #1 customer. And let me do one more. I'll take revenue one last time. And I want to show this as a running total. So an accumulated show values as a running total in, and I'll call that accumulated total. And so you see that each row adds one, or adds the 493 to the previous total. And so you can see how it increases down to the 6.7 million. Now this would make a lot more sense if those were dates along the left-hand side or months along the left-hand side, and we could call it a month-to-date total. But just be aware that that one is there. So I'll take that out for a minute. Okay, so we have our report. This is not real data. It's only 27 rows. But in real life, you might have hundreds of rows of customers. And I had a manager once who didn't want to see hundreds of rows. He didn't want 20 pages. He said, just give me the top customers. And before I do this, I want to point out here that our total for this report is $6.7 million. And our #1 customer is just about 13%, 12.96% of the total. And I'm going to use this feature here. I'm going to come to the customer dropdown and something called a value filter. And near the bottom is top 10. And the top 10 filter, although it's called top 10, is really, really amazing. It could be either top or bottom. So you could look for the top customers or the bottom customers. And it doesn't have to be 10. It could be 5 or it could be 50. And it doesn't even have to be items. You can ask for the top 80%. Give me enough records to get to 80%. Or give me enough records to get to $5 million. So the top 5 items based on sum of revenue. And I click OK, and it's going to work. You see that the ranks there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That worked out great. But my problem with this is the report is no longer correct, because we were just at $6.7 million and Walmart was 12.96% of the total. And now those numbers are wrong. My vice president of sales, who I created the report for, is like, oh, we did much more than this. Why are you calling this a grand total? It's not the grand total. It's the total of just these 5. Can you show me everything? Right? And we should be able to show him everything. Unfortunately,
Okay.
the feature to show him everything back here on the design tab is under subtotals. It's called include filtered items and totals, and you see that it's grayed out. I actually remember the day that this got grayed out. It was January 30th of 2007, right? So we're coming up on 18 years now that this has been grayed out. I think
Oh,
the person who graded out, the plan was, okay, well, we'll fix it, right? But then they were reassigned. They got moved maybe to the Word team or the Outlook
oh,
team or something like that. And so for 18 years, having this here and having it grayed out, knowing that we were this close to having this fixed, it's very, very frustrating. Okay, now
yes.
I have an amazing solution to this. I was in a city here called Philadelphia many, many years ago, and there was a young man there. He was probably 25. He worked for a company, and he stopped me at that point in the seminar. He says, Bill, there's a way to do this. You can get that 6.7 million at the bottom. I'm like, I definitely want to hear about it. He says the whole trick is that you don't want to use the filters that are built into the pivot table. You need to go back to the data tab and use the old-fashioned filter, this filter right here. He says that filter will get you the $6.7 million. I'm like, oh, this is great. I've never heard this trick. And this happens to me all the time. I do a seminar, and every time someone in the audience has some trick I've never seen, right? So I'm always eager to learn.
Yes, yes.
Someone's discovered something new, right? So I'm like, okay,
We
great,
all.
walk me through it.
Yes, yes.
But you'll notice that these filters on the data tab are not allowed to be used in the pivot table. It's against the rules. They're grayed out. But here's what this fellow, his name was Dan. I still remember Dan. Dan taught me an amazing trick that day. He said, well, look, Bill, how do you apply the filter? And I said, well, I choose one cell in the data and I turn the filters on like that. He says, yeah, that's what most people do. He says, there's other ways. I said, oh, yeah, you could choose all of the data like this and then turn the filter on. He's like, yeah, that's not what I'm thinking about either. And I knew one more way. He said, you can use Control-Shift-L to turn the filters on. He's like, no, there's another way. All right. And this is great. I'm like, I know 3 ways to do this. You have a 4th way. He's like, yes. And here's the thing. He says, go to the heading cell, the very last heading cell, the profit in column I1, go 1 cell to the right of that. For some strange reason, from this cell, I call this the magic cell. From the magic cell, you can apply the filter and turn on all the drop downs for the adjacent data set, right? Now, that's a really weird way to do that. But here's why that's super important, because someone at Microsoft has decided that we should not be allowed to filter a pivot table. And anytime you're in the pivot table, this is grayed out. But anytime you're outside of the pivot table, we're allowed to filter. And so using Dan's trick, we go to the last heading cell and go 1 cell to the right. The people at Microsoft on the Excel team have forgotten to turn off the filter dropdowns. So I'm able to click this filter. Look at this. I just turned on a filter dropdown in B1, C1, and D1. This should be illegal. We shouldn't be allowed to do this, but we can, right? So this dropdown here has number filters, top 10. It sounds like the same thing. It's in a different spot. And you'll even see it's a narrower dialog box. We're in a different dialog box now. And for this filter, if I want the top 5, I'm going to ask for the top 6. This filter is not very smart. It sees the grand total in the last row and says, oh, well, that's the largest item. And now I get my 6.7 million back. I get the 12.96%. Yeah, there's a few good reasons why we need to apply these filters inside of a pivot table. And the whole trick is just to come here to this cell, and you can apply the filter from that, right? So what an amazing trick. Now, I know the people on the Excel team who would be the people to fix this, right? And I don't want them to know, right? But I know that, I write books, and a lot of times someone on the Excel team will buy my book. So the next book that came out, I actually put a note. I put a note in the book. I said, hey, Dave, I know you're reading this. I know you're going to buy this book. I know you're reading this. I think you should leave this feature in Excel because it's useful. He actually wrote to me. He sent me an email. He's like, yeah, our rule is once a bug has been in for like 2 years, like this bug is in there, we're not going to fix it because people have started to rely on it. They've discovered the bug. So, it's a relatively safe feature to use. So that's my top 10 report. The other one here, we're going to do a year-over-year report. So my data, let's go back and take a look at the data here. My data starts in the year 2024 and goes through 2025. So I have 2 years worth of data. And I want to summarize this data by year, but you'll notice that all I have are daily dates. And when I create the pivot table, so insert, pivot table, OK. If I put dates down the left-hand side and revenue, I'm just going to get 1 row for every single day that we invoice. It's going to be 400 rows of data. But there is a great feature here. It can work either from the date heading or from one of the dates. It doesn't matter. This item here in PivotTable Analyze called Group Field. And you can choose how to roll this up. I'm going to choose to roll up to months and years, or you might want months, quarters, and years. So I'm going to choose months and years. And you see the report is now shorter. I only have 24 rows of data plus 3 headings. The heading for the first year, the heading for the second year, and the grand total. But what I love about this is they've created brand new fields for us. These are virtual fields. They're not in my original data. They even show me now like which field it came from. And I can take that years field and drag it from rows and drop it in columns like that. And to me, this is a report that I used to have to create in accounting all the time. You know, what did we do last year? What did we do this year? And no one really wanted to know the grand total. That's not the goal. They want to get rid of that grand total. So that's easy enough. Right click, remove grand total. And they want to see the percentage change. Okay, now I'm very careful to do this outside of the pivot table because this is a problem. This is a bug that started happening all the way back in 2002. I need C5 divided by B5 minus 1 shown as a percentage. And if I build that formula using the mouse, C5 divided by B5 minus 1, and show that as a percentage, that number is right. Like that first number is right. But when we double click to copy this down, these numbers are all wrong. They're all returning the January results. And this is called the get pivot data bug. It's actually a function in Excel called get pivot data. And when you touch a cell inside of a pivot table as you're building the formula, it's going to do this to you. It's going to give you get pivot data. And those formulas do not copy well. You'd have to go edit the formula to get them to be copyable. Right? So many times I hear people like, hey, I hate get pivot data. Why is that happening? Why did that start happening? Make it stop. And so I have 2 different ways to solve this. My first way is what I call the quick and dirty way. So equal C5. I'm going to type the formula without ever touching the mouse or the arrow keys, divided by B5 minus 1. By me typing the formula, none of the get pivot data will happen, and that formula can copy like that, right? And those numbers are all correct. Or if you just hate get pivot data, you never want it to happen again, there's a setting under Pivot Table Analyze, not the big options button. I need the tiny little drop down. And right here is a checkbox for generate get pivot data. You can turn that off. You turn it off once, and it'll stay off forever, right? So there's a couple of cool features there. We took daily dates. We wrote them up to months and years, took the years and pivoted to go across, and then build a formula outside of the pivot table to get us percentage growth.
Bill, may I ask you a question?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Since we are using pivot table, and where we find get pivot table data is already ticked on, so we got that. Is that a bug, or is that for a purpose? Get table data feature is a purpose. Is really has a purpose, or is a bug?
Okay, so it does have a purpose. It does have a purpose, and I've only met one person who knows the purpose. And he is an accountant at Microsoft. His name is Carlos.
Okay.
Carlos at Microsoft discovered a great way to use get pivot data. And let me show you what Carlos does. All right, this data set, here's what I have. I have shopping malls. So there's a shopping mall called Park Place, a shopping mall called Kierland Commons, Scottsdale Fashion Center. These are all different shopping malls, and there's a store. The company has a store in each of these shopping malls, and they have a forecast for how much each of those stores should sell in January. So here's our January plan. Now I'm going to scroll down a bit. They also have a forecast for the February plan. All the way through, they have forecasts for all 12 months. So we get out to the December plan. Almost there. There we are. Here's the December plan. All right. And the way that this data comes down from their IT department, after the December plans, they start to give us actuals. So we have January actual, February actual, March actual. Okay. And what the manager wants to see, the manager wants to see months going across. So January through December. And then he wants to see actuals if we have them. But for the months where we don't have actuals, he wants to see the plan. And this is a very hard report to build. So stores down the left-hand side, months going across, and then this, right? So we have January actual, January plan, and then this number is completely meaningless. This is adding actual plus plan. Like that number is not useful. And I can figure out how to get rid of that number. But if I get rid of the January plan, I'm going to get rid of February and like all the plans go away. Unless we use something called a set, right? Create a set based on column items. And you see that's grayed out as well. So it's very frustrating. We're going to have to create this report every month, copy it and paste it as values, and then start deleting the columns we don't want. Well, Carlos on the Excel team, he said, wait a second. I am going to have this ugly pivot table back here hiding in the back, and I'm going to build a nice looking report. And this nice looking report has the word actual or plan, right? And here's what Carlos does. He says, look, I'm going to allow get pivot data to happen. So he builds a formula. January actual Baybrook is the name of the store. I'm going to go find the cell for January actual Baybrook. So here's Baybrook, here's January and actual, and he allows the get pivot data formula to happen to him, right? And then he went and he looked at the formula. He's like, okay, we're getting sales from the pivot table that lives here. This is a field name called store, and the reason get pivot data is happening is because they've hard coded Baybrook as text.
Yeah.
He says, look, I don't want that. I want to point to a cell in my report that says Baybrook. And he presses F4 to put the $ in just before the D. All right. And then month is hard coded to January. He's like, I'm going to change that to point to the cell that says January. And this time, just a single $ before the 3 and type of actual. Instead of having that hard coded, he changes that to point to this cell. And again, we'll press F4 twice to point to just row 4. See, in that formula now, that formula is a formula that can be copied. Okay, special formulas, right? And so like this is getting April actuals for Willowbrook. And, you know, it's a report that actually becomes useful at this point. So it was the accounting department inside of Microsoft who discovered this cool little thing that we can do. Here, let me copy the formulas down. And so that's how they're using it inside of Microsoft. I've never met anyone outside of Microsoft who's doing this. But
where there is a problem, there is a solution over here.
You have a solution?
No, where there is a problem, Carlos finds a solution.
Yeah, right, yeah. Now, I was showing this one time. I was in Europe doing this seminar, and someone in the room said, hey, that's very dangerous what you're doing. I said, why is it so dangerous? He said, well, what if they build a new store? What if there's a new store here? You'll never know that they added a new store. So he said, if you're going to try this, make sure to always check this grand total and the grand total in the pivot table. Like go grab the grand total of the whole thing and make sure that those numbers match. And if not, you need to have a conditional formatting that, you know, shows that there's a problem because there's a new store. You know, so you'd have to set up something like that. That's formats. Oh no, it's yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go. It's not even all the stores. So you should do something. But that's the use for get pivot data.
Okay.
Thanks to Carlos on the Excel team.
Thanks to Carlos.
Yeah, I actually met Carlos. He moved from accounting to Excel. He was the best Excel person in accounting, and they hired him away to the Excel team. So that,
really,
yeah, right. What a great upgrade that is, right? To actually get to move from accounting.
Yeah.
So I love that. There's an actual use for get pivot data. Okay, let's talk about slicers real quick. Back to this regular pivot table here. You know, this is a great little report, and we could always add customer in up here as the filters, and you could see this for one customer if you wanted to, like, you know, here's all the Walmart. And all the way back in Excel 2007, they gave us a choice here to select multiple items. So I could choose both Walmart and Kroger, which is a grocery store. But, you know, the reason I don't like this is that multiple items, that's a really bad heading. Like, what does multiple items mean? If you print this, no one's going to know which multiple items you selected. So let's just clear this and we'll choose. I'm going to choose all over here. So instead of using the filter area. In Excel 2010, they give us this great new thing called a slicer. And so I want to see slicers for region and product and sector. Click OK. Right. And so they always end up like this, tiled on top of each other. And I take a little bit of time to rearrange these. Like region will probably fit in 2 columns like that. Product, I only have 3 products, so maybe I'll make that be 3 columns. It's smaller. And then I have room here on my dashboard for sector, maybe in 2 columns. Again, change the I changed the colors a little bit to make them more interesting. And then what we have is a dashboard where this pivot table is being run by these slicers. So if I want to see just product XYZ, first off, I can see the cross filtering. So XYZ means there's no one in healthcare bought that product. No one in the South region bought that product. If I would choose product DEF, I can see that no one in transportation and healthcare buys that. ABC, looks like everyone but communications buys it. So you can do great filtering here and see what's happening. Plus, what I really like is I can take this first pivot table and copy it over here somewhere else on the dashboard. I'm going to run out of space. But if I get rid of, let's say, months, I can put in region. And so now I have 2 sets of reports that are both relying on these filters. If I change the filter or the slicer, both reports, and you can do that again and again and again, and have, you know, as many as you can fit on the screen, all reacting to these slicers. So I'm a big fan of slicers.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, right. My only problem with slicers is I would love for the slicer to work on an iPad. I would love to have a little tablet where I could choose the slicer. It seems like a great way to go.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they never have they never have that work. Okay. Good. Let's just take a quick look here at sort, order, and a pivot table. I'm going to get rid of this. Delete. You see that I have regions here, East, Central, and West. And the company that I work for, this was like real data. This is based on real data that we used to use. When I worked at this company in accounting for 12 years, the company standard was that East always came first, and then Central, and then West. But of course, if we sort this A to Z, Central is the first region, followed by East. Yeah, Central, and then East, and then West. There's no way to get East to sort first. So there's a cool little trick here where we can set up something called a custom list, Central, East, and West. So we type the order that we want things to appear. I want East first, then Central, and then West. So that's the order that I want things in. And we come to File and Options. Go to Advanced, and then once you're at Advanced, go all the way to the bottom. Is where they've hidden this button called Edit Custom Lists. And you'll see that this is where they store Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, in January, February, March. And we can import a new list. So choose these cells, click Import. You see that I already have that list. And the amazing thing is, well, first off, now we can manually sort this data. So if I go into the Sort dialog box, I want to sort by region, and I can say the order should be based on a custom list, and it should be East, Central, West, and that will sort the data. So East is first, Central is next, and then West. But the amazing thing is that pivot tables will automatically sort based on the custom list. So if I just come here to Insert, Pivot Table, OK, and I choose Region, you see that they're in the right order, East, Central, West. It follows the custom list. So you can very easy to control the order of your pivot tables by using custom lists. All right, next up, this is a great one. I'm going to put products across the top. I'm going to put customer up in the filters area. This is Sylvia Uhas. Sylvia Uhas is an Excel trainer in Santa Monica, California. She showed up at one of my seminars one day and taught me this amazing trick. She's like, okay, you have a great report there. I need to take that report. I need to make a copy of that report for every single customer. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
let me use a VBA macro, I said. She's like, oh, no. You can do this automatically. So it's here under pivot table options. The tiny little drop down, there's something called show report filter pages. Have you done this?
Yes.
Right.
You used to do.
Show all pages of customer. And right there, it just inserted 27 new sheets in the workbook. On the first sheet, it has the first customer, and then the next sheet has the next customer, the next sheet, the next customer. What an amazing way to take a report and make many, many copies for it. So that's the only time that I'll ever use the filters if I need to make multiple copies of our reports. All right, so there we are. Replicate the pivot table. All right. Let's talk about generating a pivot table using artificial intelligence. Not Copilot yet. I just want to use analyze data. This feature for us in the beta has unfortunately moved recently. So I have a data set here. This used to be on the right-hand side of the Home tab, where Copilot is for me now. We had advanced data, but they recently moved this to the Data tab, and they added it to the Data Tools area. The reason I like Analyze Data is that it's included with a Microsoft 365 subscription, and you don't have to pay the extra money for Copilot. It's using artificial intelligence. So they start out here showing you a few insights that they figured out, and sometimes they discover something that's really interesting, like there were outliers in the data. And they show me here, in this case, 4, but then I can say show all 22 results, right? And they keep giving us these amazing insights that artificial intelligence discovered. But what I really like is up here at the top. This is a feature that came from Power BI. The Power BI team invented this first, and then the Excel team brought it back. It allows me to create a pivot table just by typing. So if I want to see the top 3 customers for each sector, I can say the top 3 customers for each sector based on revenue. I could use revenue or profit. And when I press enter, they show me what it's going to look like. And I say, okay, that's great. Insert a pivot table. And they insert a new sheet. So I don't even have to know how to build a pivot table. I just have to be able to type a sentence saying what I'm looking for. And they build the pivot table for me. I'm very impressed with this. You know, they've set up the value filters, top 3. Like that's no, here the value filter here, right here, value filters, top 10. They set it to top 3. You know, so even if you didn't know where those features were, it's just a great way to very quickly build your.
Bill, I'll just want to ask another question related with this AI feature. Users used to ask us, does AI will replace us? Some people are very very concerned about it. So many trainees are very shows me so many concern thinking about AI. They're asking that.
It worries me too. It worries me too, because people used to go to Google and type in an Excel question, and you would end up with one of my YouTube videos. But now you get the artificial intelligence. You don't have to watch my video anymore. Yeah. So what do I do next?
But I'm very much afraid about it, because people are using shortcuts to learn, but there is no shortcut to learn about Excel only, and not only Excel, everything. So people used to get the prompt from co-pilots and all. So they are just using it, but they are not concerned about. So the very concerning and alarming thing is people are getting used to use undependent on AI.
Right, and we're not always sure that AI is right. Like, you know, you need to know how to check things. Like, you still have to know how to do things to make sure that it's right. The other day, I had one where AI gave me an answer, and then I realized that the numbers were all wrong. I'm like, oh no, you know.
Yes, I'm facing so. I can't make any understand or any users are not understanding that they are going a wrong way.
Right. Yeah. Right. And, you know, let's take other industries, right? So we're using Excel for data, you know, but sometimes I would go hire a graphic designer to make an illustration. Well, now AI is creating the illustration. And is it perfect? Is it as good as the graphic designer would have done? No, but If I'm just creating a LinkedIn post, trying to get something to attract people's attention, is it good enough? Well, yeah, that graphic, that illustration is good enough. But the question is, like, is good enough? Is that okay in Excel? I don't think it is, because people are going to actually make decisions based on what we do, right? So I don't know.
Yes.
Okay. I have a few more things I want to show. We still have another 10 minutes. Is that right?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. One of the interesting things that I love came along in Excel 2013. And it actually wasn't Excel that did this. It was Tableau that did this. And it's called PivotTable on a map. So I'm going to open a data set. Yeah. Right. So
You're
here I have
pointed rightly.
What's that?
You pointed rightly. We used to face so many problems regarding this map because our states and divisions are not that much popular and not well connected with this map as well.
Really?
You only get that. The cities, but besides this, you will not get that police stations. Sometimes the new divisions are incorporated or introduced. They are not updated in Excels.
Okay, now, are you talking about the insert maps here or the 3D map?
Okay.
I hear that problem with this map all the time, that it's not getting the states or whatever the divisions are called.
No, we are not exploring 3D maps right now. We are using the regular maps as what already incorporated. Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't, if Microsoft doesn't know about that problem, you should send me a list of which ones aren't working, and I can get it to the people.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
They always blame it on Bing. They say that they're getting their data from Bing, but they'll eventually get to it. So I'm going to show 3D map here because to me that's more like a pivot table. So I have the data, and I'm going to go to data model and then 3D map. And I set up a little data model in the background.
Yeah, it will take some time.
Yeah. Okay. That wouldn't crash. Funny, I tested this morning and it loaded right away.
Okay. You take your time. No worry. We all here.
Okay, here we go. All right. So what we have is a list of the fields, and we can set the height. So we have drop zones here. What's the height? So I'm going to use population for the height.
Yeah.
And then I have a category. I just made up these categories to change the color. I always like to add map labels in, and then we can zoom in. That legend does not need to be that big. And I can tip the map. So if I hold down the Alt key and drag, right? So, who is this? I can see that city. And if I had data over time, I could animate the data over time and see how the things have changed. So to me, this is a very interesting way to take data, basically create a, sort of an interactive chart right on the map and see it. All right, so the 3D map there. Okay, here's another one that is sort of new. This is images in a pivot table. In the past, anytime that we would insert an image, like that book image was always, this book image is floating above the grid, like it covers up the cells. But we have a new feature now, a new feature where we can go to insert pictures and place those in a cell from this device, right? So here I have two pictures, one that says yes and one that says no. This is a really interesting data type. I can actually return that as the result of a formula. So I can go pull the data in. And then if I build a pivot table based on this, so here I have yes and no up in the filters area. So if I choose no, I'll see the little red icon there. If I choose yes, I'll see the green icon. I can even add the that picture field, which is called met quota. I can take that picture field and drag it down into the pivot table. And so then I have the image showing up, right? So this is a very interesting new development where we can add pictures right in the pivot table thanks to this new data type
Very
for
interesting.
pictures. And then if you are in Windows, not on a Mac, the little button that debuted back in Excel 2013 that says add this data to the data model. This is a great way to take two data sets and create a pivot table without doing a VLOOKUP between them. All right, so right here I have a table on the left-hand side. This is a big data set, well, relatively big. It's 500 rows. And then I have a nice little lookup table here for each customer. What sector are they in? And I want to create a report that shows total revenue from the green table by sector from the blue table. And the way to do this is to go to Insert and then Pivot Table. I'm just going to put it out here in an existing worksheet so we can see it. And you say, add this data to the data model, right? Which creates a completely different pivot table. So we're adding the data to the data model. And you'll notice over here in Pivot Table Fields now we have, first off, the table name, but we have active and all. If I choose all, I can see all of the tables in the worksheet, right? So it's possible for me to take sector from the second table and revenue from the first table. Now, for this to work, we have to build a relationship. So instead of a VLOOKUP, we're saying, hey, I'm going to show you that there's a table called data. It has a field called customer. It's related to the table called sectors that has a field called customer. And with that simple little relationship there, I can now choose the sector field from the lookup table and revenue from the data table. And it does that join just like Microsoft Access or SQL Server would do. And you get your results like that. So I'm a big fan of this. The other thing,
I'm not satisfied with this data modeling because they are not they cannot be connected both way. Only
No.
one direction can be connected.
right? It has
So
to
I'm
be,
not fully satisfied. In Power BI, they have the solution in that regard, but in Excel, it still remains the problem.
okay. Yeah, it has to be one to many, right? You can't do many to many.
Many to many, yeah.
Yeah, you're right there. That's right. Okay, here's the other thing that I'll use this for all the time. I'm just going to open a regular data set here. There's a lot of things in regular pivot tables. Well, here, this pivot table, let's start from this pivot table. There's a lot of things in these pivot tables that are grayed out. Like, for example, the design tab, I can't go to subtotals and say include filter items and totals. Or under analyze, I can't go to OLAP tools. Those are all grayed out. Fields, items, and sets, they're all grayed out. Here's the amazing thing. If I go back to the original pivot table, this data, I'm not trying to join any data sets together, insert pivot table, and I say add this data to the data model. All right, they've now unlocked a lot of features, right? So if I choose customer and revenue, and we use our top 10 auto filter, top 10, ask for the top 5. All right, so we still have the wrong answer there, that 3.5 million. But the difference is because I checked the box for add this data to the data model on the design tab, that thing that's been grayed out for the last 13 years is now no longer grayed out. And I can get that back to the $6.7 million. Under pivot table analyze, I can now convert this entire thing to formulas. I get cube formulas. I can come here to field items and sets and create a set based on row items. So anytime that you've found something in pivot tables that are grayed out, if you simply check the box for add this data to the data model, there's a good chance that those things that were grayed out will no longer be grayed out. All right, so that's my data model. We can replace VLOOKUP, better top 5 report because of the data model. We also unlock a new calculation called distinct count instead of just a count. So there we go. All right, that's I went a few minutes over there. Sorry about that, but those are my big pivot table tricks there. Hopefully you picked up a couple of new things along the way.
A big thank to you, Bill, for your for delivering such wonderful and engaging Excel session. Right now, I would, if you allow me, I would like to allow for participant 2 minutes to ask any questions if they have. And
Sure.
would you like to allow me?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yep.
Okay. Okay. From the participants, I would like to introduce you. If you have any questions, you can ask Bill Jelen directly. Do you? And for Bengali people, if you have any questions, আপনাদের যদি কোনো questions থাকে আপনারা আমাকে বলেন, আমি আপনাদের পক্ষ থেকে আমি বিলকে জিজ্ঞাসা করতে পারি. So I'm translating in Bangla in our language. If
Yep.
they have any questions, so I can ask you on behalf of them. Okay. So no one respond. I think they just learned a lot from you, and they have no questions as well. So we learned so many features and functions, and definitely I learned so many new features as well. After the day, I have so many perception has been built in myself. So it would be easier, and I will use it to for my smart working. And the way you explained everything step by step, it kept interesting and made me learning fun. So this is the suggestions you give us confidence as well. So Bill, thanks for making learning such an such a great experience as well. So thank
Thanks.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you
was
so
great to
much.
be here. Thank you.
Thank you
you
so
very
much. Thanks for your time.
Yep. Have a great rest of your night. And
Okay. Have a great day to you.
very good. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. So can I take
Cheers.
a picture with you? Would
Yeah.
you please, if you allow and if you feel comfortable, would you please turn on your camera to take the picture? Would you? He's Mr. Mohammed Refaul Karim. He's one of the leading trainer who I'm talking about. He's Mr. Refaul Islam. Refaul Karim Chaudhary. He's a very prominent Excel trainer, and by the way, he is the leading CFO in our country.
Oh, wow. Very nice. Good to meet you.
Hello, Rashed bhai.
Okay. Yes. Yes, Refaul bhai. How are you?
Yes, Alhamdulillah. It was a wonderful session. We learned a lot from Bill.
Thank
Really
you.
amazing session.
Very good. Thanks. It was good to be here.
Okay, Bill, would you
Now
please?
let's share the
Yeah. I'm sorry.
new
Sorry.
issues.
Yeah.
No, sorry. So I think many new issues we learned. Thank you for your time.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to be
Okay.
here.
We want to invite you our country as well. We have a plan. We have so many webinars this month. So you will be wondering that we waited 3 months for your session, and we gathered together. We waited, and after the long waiting time, we got you.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Okay, Bill, would you please stop sharing your screen that I can take the screenshot, the picture? Okay, okay. Please, everyone, turn on your camera if you are comfortable enough. Okay. Thanks, Bill, for your
You got it? All right. Very good.
time,
Oh,
and
there we
thanks.
go. Hello.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Cheers now. Oh, there we go.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
All right.